Vestibular neuronitis. So, before going into the topic, let me give a small introduction. Ear can be divided into three parts: external ear, middle ear and inner ear. So, in the inner ear, if you see properly, you have an yellow structure. This is the 8th cranial nerve. Totally you have 12 cranial nerves, and this is the 8th cranial nerve which is concerned with balancing and hearing, which is vestibulocochlear nerve. So, this vestibulocochlear nerve is formed by union of two nerves. One is the vestibular nerve, another one is the cochlear nerve. So, vestibular nerve helps in balancing and cochlear nerve helps in hearing, and it joins to form the vestibulocochlear nerve. Now, this condition, vestibular neuritis, here you have a viral infection of the vestibular part of the vestibulocochlear nerve. So, the patient will have vertigo. That means the patient says the whole world is spinning around him, and the cochlear part is free, so his hearing is going to be normal. Now, for normal balancing of a person, you need the following structures to be intact. 1 is brain, 2 eyes, 3 ears, 4 neck, 5 all the joints, 5th and last the skin sensation. All this should be intact. So, if any one of these structures doesn't work properly, he will not be able to balance his body properly, and so he will have vertigo. Not only that, not only these structures, if the blood pressure is high or low, sugar is high or body sugar, blood sugar is high or low, fluctuation in thyroid function, like that I can give a long list of diseases or conditions where the patient presents as vertigo. Now, in this long list, I am picking up one topic, that is vestibular neuritis, and we are going to discuss about it. And what I have mentioned so far is that the vestibular nerve, there is a part of the vestibulocochlear nerve that is getting infected, especially the vestibular ganglion. So, patient presents with vertigo. So, the cause I have mentioned, that is the most common accepted one is maybe there is a virus infection. Now, the most common presentation, like I have told you, the patient says he has got vertigo, and it is not episodic or paroxysmia, it is continuous. And if you ask the patient, did you have any upper respiratory tract infection recently? Most of them may say yes. So, it is not a must that you should have an upper respiratory tract infection. Maybe he will give you a history of upper respiratory tract infection. So, now when you examine the patient and when you examine the eyes, you can see eye movements, it moves fast. So, that is called, in medical terms, it is called as nystagmus. And we examine the eardrum will look normal. We want to rule out other conditions for nystagmus. So, we are examining the full examination. We have to do the examination of the ear and the full neurological examination also. Now, to come to a diagnosis, we will do a few maneuvers. So, let me explain a few maneuvers. The first one being Romberg. So, in this Romberg test, we will ask the patient to place his arms by the side, close the eyes and keep the feet together and stand still. So, here he is able to do that. But suppose the patient has got a right-sided ear problem. See what is going to happen. He will fall to that particular side. If he has got a right side problem, he will fall to that particular side. So, his Romberg test is positive. The next test is Unterberger's test. So, this is a normal person, and this is a person where the right side has been provisionally diagnosed as vestibular neuritis. So, let us see the normal person first. So, we will ask him to place the arms by the side, feet together and close his eyes. Watch. And outstretch his eye and march on that particular spot. So, he will be able to do at least 50 to 100 march. He will be able to do it normally. And he closes his eyes when he does the marching. Now, watch the second video in which there is the provisional diagnosis that he has got a right-sided vestibular neuritis. So, what happens is, when you ask him to do that, he turns his whole body to the right side approximately to 45 degrees. That means his right vestibular nerve, that part is not working properly. Now coming to a next test, that is video nystagmogram. Here you have a doctor and you have a patient here, and the doctor is going to perform a head impulse test, and at the same time she will be getting a graph here so that we can come to a diagnosis. So first she will hold the head properly and make a quick movement to the right and slowly return the head to the normal position. Watch here, then watch the graph. Quick movement, then slowly, quick movement. This is the right side test. So you get a graph like this. Now next she will be doing on the left side. Quick movement, then slow movement. Now watch the graph here. So you get the graph of the left side. Now the computer will calculate on both the sides and it will give you a final report which will be like this. This one. So this is a normal head impulse test. In case of vestibular neuronitis, one side it will not be normal like this. Now let us go to the next test, that is Gallery test. So next in Gallery test, what you do is, here the head end of the patient is elevated by 30 degrees and we plan to irrigate on both sides with saline one at 30 degrees Celsius, another one is 44 degrees Celsius, one followed by other. So suppose my left side is normal and my right side has been provisionally diagnosed as vestibular neuritis. So first we'll do Gallery test on the left side. So when you start with 30 degrees and followed by 44 degrees, so what will happen is you find two things. One is the patient start experiencing nystagmus. We can watch this nystagmus, that is a quick eye movements, and he'll complains of vertigo also. This starts within 20 minutes and it subsides within 2 minutes 30 seconds, 2.5 minutes it subsides. But when you do on the ear which is affected, which has been diagnosed as vestibular neuritis, what happens is it starts late, the nystagmus and the vertigo sensation, it starts late and it subsides fast. It subsides fast. That means in Gallery test there is hypo or maybe there is no response at all when the vestibular nerve is severely damaged. That is about Gallery test. Now we have one more test which is called VEMP. Even that will come as positive. We have two types of VEMP in that. There is cervical VEMP and cochlear VEMP. So when you do it, that will come positive. So that is also suggestive of one-sided vestibular dysfunction, that is it can be vestibular neuritis. Now let me tell you about the investigation. Investigation, we have to test the hearing. Like how I mentioned before, this mainly involves the vestibular nerve, not the cochlear nerve. So since the cochlear nerve is normal, the hearing is going to be normal. If by any reason the hearing is not normal, then our diagnosis of vestibular neuritis is wrong. So whenever the case is diagnosed as vestibular neuritis, the hearing is going to be normal and the VEMP is going to be positive. Now coming to the treatment part. Patient has got severe vertigo and it is continuous. What I mean to say, it is not episodic or it is not paroxysmal, it doesn't come again and again, it is continuous. So he needs bed rest. We advise him bed rest. And to control the acute episode, so we have to give some medications. So it can be any of these medications. Either it can be diazepam or Phenergan or Stemetil in the dosage mentioned. So it can be any of these drugs. So I cannot specify. So this is the better drug or next one can be given, and so it depends upon what should I say? It depends upon the condition of the patient and whether he has got other comorbidities, other problems, whether he has got a respiratory problem or not. So doctor will examine you completely and he will decide which medication best suits you. But generally it is accepted for a young patient between 20 and 40 without any other comorbidities, diazepam is well accepted. But the commonest drug which is usually given, which is very safe when you compare with diazepam, is Stemetil, which is the third one. So once the patient acute episode is controlled, then we can start with tablet which is given usually for 3 or 4 days, that's all. So the patient has severe vomiting also, and he'll be in a dehydrated state, so he needs IV fluids and antiemetics also. So labyrinthine sedatives that we'll be giving like for 3-4 days, not more than that. Now, if you ask them which is the specific drug which is given for this condition which helps for early recovery, then it's going to be steroid, and it's going to be tapering dose of steroids. And this condition which usually lasts for 6 weeks to 12 weeks, that is approximately 3 months. So the acute episode, severe vertigo, lasts for 5 to 6 days, and with medications maybe 3 to 4 days. So after that also he is going to experience vertigo. So what happens is the brain compensates and tries to bring him to near normal at the earliest. So to help the brain to make the person to come back to near normal, we will advise you some vestibular rehabilitation therapy, some exercises. So these exercises therapy I am not discussing in this video, and that's a separate video which you need to watch, and this one I am just concentrating on other topics except for vestibular rehabilitation therapy. Now the usual recovery I have mentioned, it takes about 6 to 12 weeks. Now coming to the take home message. So the patient, the acute episode subsides in 5 to 6 days, but after that for a period of 6 weeks to 12 weeks he is going to experience vertigo. So it is better that you avoid any job concerned with height, fire, heavy machineries and water, because since he is experiencing vertigo, there's a high possibility, suppose he is working near a heavy machinery, there's a high possibility he may fall over the machinery and he can endanger himself. So it's better try to avoid any of these jobs, and try not to go in crowded places. So what happens is he has got vertigo and he will develop visual vertigo. That means when he goes into a crowd, when he sees a crowd, his vertigo increases. So suppose in case you are the only person and there is no one help to get any groceries or something like that, and you are compelled to go to the grocery shop which is in a crowded place, I'll tell you a small trick. So what you need to do, so when you reach the crowded place, you focus on one object at a distance and look at that particular object, and don't look at any other object. Focus on that object and keep on walking towards that object. Neglect all the other structures and avoid sudden head movements. And when you reach that object, then you focus on the next object at a distance and look at that object and keep on walking till you reach your shop. And avoid sudden head movements. Now, try to drink as much as possible, try to drink water. That is, you normal person in a normal climate weather condition, he needs to take 2 to 2.5 liters. Water itself is a good medicine. So you have to take as much as possible, the normal quantity I have mentioned. Now, another important point is, since the patient has vertigo, make it a point that you don't sleep in a pitch dark room. Why? Because if you happen to get up in the night and you want to go to a restroom, already you have a vertigo. So what happens when you wake up in the night, and the room is pitch dark, you tend to fall down, you and hit your head somewhere. So in your bedroom, there should be bedroom light bright enough so that you can see the whole room. And when you happen to get up in the night, you first sit up, wait for 2-3 seconds, stand up, wait for 2-3 seconds, see properly, then start walking towards your restroom. And it's better that you keep some good furnitures in between your bedroom, in between your bed, cot and the toilet, so that if you want any hole in between, you can depend upon the furniture. So these are the take home messages. So this is about vestibular neuritis. Thank you so much.